Julia McMurry. Why are we all here? I don't mean that in a sweeping existential way, I promise. Just here, literally tonight, in this theater. Outside, it is a mild, almost spring evening, and you all could be anywhere, yet you choose to be here, in this room, listening to 7 undergrads sweat into our suits and teeter on our heels, trying to convince you that we know how to make a more just society. Some of us very well might. Clearly, though, you all think that speech matters. So, since I am among friends in agreement about this fact, let me make a confession and propose an idea. I do not know what action we need at this moment to change how we live, work, and learn, because I do not think it is action we need at all, not in the traditional sense. Instead, we need speech, your speech. Now, I know we have been taught to think of speech and action as at odds. Politicians who don't accomplish anything meaningful are all talk. You are your actions, not your words, we are told. And even the brethren who founded this college might raise an eyebrow at me today. After all, for them, faith without works is dead. But speech is action. It is subversive and self-determining. Speech is both a tool for and an end goal of social justice. After all, what is more just than a society where everyone has a chance to express their needs, their wants, their hopes, their desires? Now, I am not talking about just any speech. Constructive speech, that which bends our societal arc towards justice, as Martin Luther King might have put it, must rest on 3 principles. First, liberty. Second, inclusivity. And third, reciprocity. Simply put, we must foster free speech extended to all, created together. And this requires courage. The term liberal arts derives from the Latin liberalis, or free, and although that might surprise you given current tuition prices, I assure you it is true. A liberal arts education was meant to impart skills worthy of a free person in society so they could carry out their civic duty, and this included speaking in the public forum. Not everyone here tonight attended a liberal arts college or college at all, but we are all free people in a free society. And with this freedom comes great responsibility, because people at podiums have rarely changed anything without support from many in chairs and at lunch counters and in marches. There is a reason speech comes first in our Bill of Rights. We, the people, are each gifted with a mighty and forceful power to publish, to protest, to petition. We must always take advantage of these rights. First, find the courage to speak for what you believe in. And then, make sure others' speech is free also. Whether it is journalists arrested in Egypt and China, or peaceful protesters detained on American streets, threats to speech anywhere are threats to justice everywhere. And what of the second component, inclusivity? Paulo Freire, author of Pedagogy of the Oppressed, wrote that to deny people their prioritial right to speak their word is to exercise, in his words, dehumanizing aggression. When seeking constructive speech, we must always keep in mind the legacy historically oppressed peoples carry, not just material lack or physical pain, though these scars are real, but something else. Another scholar, Edward Said, referred to as colonization of the mind. Over time, when people are objectified, marginalized, silenced, they come to see themselves through the oppressor's eyes. They come to believe themselves worthy of their treatment. And we see this today in all facets of our lives, sometimes without realizing it. According to AAUW, in 2015, American women earned, on average, 22% less than their male counterparts. Why? Sexist employers are to blame, certainly, but some have posited that internalized sexism also plays a large factor. Women are far less likely to negotiate their salaries, to ask for raises, to assert their worth as employees than men. They have been taught not to advocate for themselves, and racism and classism produce even stronger effects on self-perception. Therefore, the second component of constructive speech, inclusivity, calls for us to elevate all of those who traditionally could not speak, to remind people that their quiet voices matter just as much as our loud ones, to not merely leave a seat open at the negotiating table, but to invite people to sit in it, to not speak on others' behalf alone, but to stand allied behind them as they speak for themselves. And when others do speak, we must be prepared to listen. Constructive speech is ultimately reciprocal. It requires silence, at least briefly, to hear others' words. Here in Pennsylvania, we are still without a budget from last year. Partisan gridlock in the State House seems just a reflection of larger national impasse. Politicians, yes, but also we, the people, sometimes forget that free, empowered speech also requires compromise, listening. Faith without works is dead, yes, but speech without concession, without negotiation, is meaningless. Even on campus last semester, we experienced the effects of dialogue disintegrating. Without speech, misunderstanding spiraled into campus-wide tension, and on various campuses throughout the country, that same tension conflagrated into bitter conflict. We must have dialogue. Otherwise, I hear presidential candidates calling for walls to be built and refugees turned away, speech in the traditional sense to be certain. But is this what we want? I see hope for dialogue in Huntington. Whether it is at a community dinner, an activist theater performance, or a formally organized oratorical competition, we are encouraged to speak, to engage with others' views. As Aristotle once put it, it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. And your mere presence today shows that you value entertaining many different thoughts. Maybe my few minutes have helped you to expand your already educated minds. But more importantly, I hope that when you leave this theater tonight and walk into that mild, almost spring air, we all carry with us the courage to speak, to support others in speaking, and finally, to be silent and listen. Then, together, may we build a more just society.